It's time we will call this meeting of the Alva Tourism Tax Committee to order. First item is going to be discussion action of the minutes from September 25th special meeting. And what's a special meeting? Because we had to have it at a later date. We didn't have quorum for the first one.
I move that we approve the minutes from September 25th meeting.
A motion to approve the minutes from September 25th. Have a second?
Connor?
Aye.
Charles?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Normal?
Aye. Next is discussion action on the October financial report. Jody?
Okay.
That's you.
Starting off, we have $648,243.02, $26,300 to the Big Cruise and Car Show, $5,200 to the Wayfinding Signage Program and Public Art Program, $6,000 to the Alva Chamber of Commerce Northwest Oklahoma Visitors Center Secretary, $2,705 to the first annual Alva Fall 4D, $500 for future, $2,500 for standing, which leaves us with $605,038.02. And Norval just signed the paperwork for the Big Cruise and Car Show.
And it was for less than
Yes.
the total, so
25.
25, that's about $1,000
Yeah.
less. Any questions, comments? Charles?
I move we approve.
Second. A motion and a second.
Terry?
Aye.
Charles?
Aye.
Connor?
Aye.
Norval?
Aye. All right, next is a discussion. Well, we do have a request from Ms. Ritchie that she has to be to another meeting. So I'm going to move her up the agenda and let her go first. So discussion action on reunion 2020.
Yes.
Not to exceed $8,300.
That's correct. I have with me Lynn. She is a member of the Reunion 2020 Steering Committee. It's time for us to have another reunion. The last one was in 2000. And one of the things that the Steering Committee is discussing and looking forward to is a more regular schedule for this all-school reunion. It needs to happen at a closer interval than every 20 years. You can see on the funds and budget worksheet, the total requested turned out to be $10,635. I don't think it will be that much. If we can get our printing fees for the mailer, where we can just have one page front and back, that cuts that number in half. So we should still be within the not to exceed $8,300.
Because that's all this committee would be able to approve
Yes.
tonight, because that's all that's on the agenda.
Yes.
It could not exceed the amount we have on the agenda.
That is understood.
And then that did jump out at me, the mailer printing at $1.60.
That's
That's a
for-
really fancy mailer.
Well, the fee that I requested, the quote that I requested was for 4 pages total, which would be 2 front and back and color. And if we can get it, and it's $1.60 each, if we can get it, all of our information down to 1 page front and back, that would cut that in half, which we would love. And for a lot of reasons, less expense, goes through a folding machine a whole lot easier. less times we'll have to touch it to get it into the envelopes. So, yes, and it could be that possibly part of it wouldn't have to be in color. Like, for instance, the page that will have RSVP information and order forms for the union t-shirt, possibility that that part could all be on the same side of the page and not be in color, which would decrease the cost even further. But the main thing that we need is printing and postage to get this mailer out in mid-December.
So if you've seen the car show flyers, they're all in color with printed pictures, and they're like 6 pages and stuff. And they're about 50 cents a piece.
Ah, how many do you order?
Usually between 7,500 and 10,000.
Okay, that's more than what we need, and that's where
But-
you're getting a discount for the.
Right, but it still runs into less money by quite a bit than what you're looking at
Yes.
for 5,000.
And I should also tell you, I only got one quote. This came up very quickly, and I've been out of pocket for a large number of days in the last 6 weeks, and so I hate to say this, kind of put it together very quickly. So I will perform due diligence and go with the best quote for the best quality and trim those costs. And when I visited with Alex about it, she said that it was okay to estimate big, which I did, because funds wouldn't be dispersed until you had a receipt
That's true.
from the Alva Public Education Foundation. So she said, don't feel like money
Or
will
the
be
printer.
wasted. Yes,
Somebody like that.
yeah,
You just have to have the funds spent.
yes.
How'd you finance this last time?
Well, Charles, it was 20 years ago, and I wasn't on the committee 20 years ago, so I think in looking at some of the files that I had found in my office, they did fundraisers. They had a local treasurer, which we do have a local treasurer, but we've not done fundraisers yet. I think our fundraising part will come after we get this mailing out.
So you can do it for 60 cents, you said? Is that what you said?
I think they're about 50 cents a piece.
50?
I'd love the contact information so I
Sure,
could approach
no problem.
them for a quote.
Because you're not talking about this, it doesn't have to go out when you plan on mailing this stuff.
Mid-December.
In December?
I mean, not the first week of December, but maybe the third week of December. Could even go out in early January. That may be a better plan, but I'd kind of like to get it out.
Well, let's just say, for instance, you can get them for, say, even 60 cents. That's $1 per savings. And you're talking about sending out how many?
Approximately 5,000. The plan is for everyone in our Goldbug alumni database that has an email address. It will go out to them, the same information in email format will go to them that way, which saves us postage and printing. And then those that don't have emails will get it via United States Mail. And also, we will not send more than one to an address. It would go to, if Larry and I were both graduates, it would go to Larry and Elizabeth Ritchie or Ritchie family at our address. We won't send more than one to any designated address, which also trims the cost.
You may use some of that cost in postage depending on how big your flyer is when it's done. Because I know the car show ones we send out are 70-some cents a piece. So,
Are they?
to the post office.
won't have to have envelopes if we can get them configured in such a way we can just put labels on. So.
I'll make a motion, but I would want the motion to reflect that we're looking at maybe $1 less on this stuff, is a possibility. Pretty strong possibility. You're talking about recently, last year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But her request is somewhat less than this expense sheet she has there. So, this is just a quick question, but if this is a success, which I'm sure it will be, what time frame are you looking for after that?
Personally, I would like to see the all-school reunion happen at least every 5 years. It doesn't need to be annually. I know several communities that do every 3 years. That really don't like that either because it's hard to remember. But we had reunion 2000. If we do reunion 2020, it just seems to me that 2025, 2030, 2035, that would be so much easier for everybody to remember. I don't know what they'll do. I'm not certain that I will still be alive in 20 more years. Hope I am. I'm not going to stand here and tell you I'm that old yet, but the way things are going, you never do know.
It was a big deal the last time it happened.
Was that a centennial type thing then too?
It was on that, but yeah, there was people, yeah. The main thing was reunion. People came, all the classes had reunions.
It was a wonderful deal. I was here, I just wasn't involved in the planning, but it was a super event. I know that steering committee worked very, very hard. There were two big things that stand out for me, well maybe three. The number of people around the square for the reunion parade, that was amazing. My husband graduated with a class of 65, and one of the fellas close to that year brought back a race car, brought back a Cobra. I don't know if you remember that car. And started it at Marshall Funeral Home. And all of my husband's buddies that were standing in front of the Rialto did this, like, that's a Cobra, where is it? And so that was pretty fun. And I got to see my husband play football. Caught a pass and ran with it and didn't get hurt, so.
We want to see him do that again.
Oh, well, probably not now, not with
Not
two
this year.
knees and everything else. So. And I should tell you, our intent is to drive our reunion guests for the afternoon to Hatfield Park and participate in the Rotary Club things. We're not trying to not have people do that, but because it's 4th of July weekend and because the Rotary Club's offerings at the park have grown so on the 4th of July, we just felt like we ought to publicize that and have all of our guests plan to go out there for the fireworks show and, you know, all of those Saturday afternoon activities. We plan to have things on the square at lunchtime, whether we have a combination of food trucks, organizations that need fundraisers, and even the Moose Lodge has asked us about grilling something for some of the people down there. We're inviting various classes to put up class tents on the square or set up a table so that they all know where their class can gather. We're not trying to manufacture reunions for specific classes, but just provide a way for everybody to come home. And then class officers from those classes can take over for their parts. Everybody is invited to lunch after the parade on Saturday, and, you know, those plans are still finalizing. Everybody is invited to the Friday evening welcome mixer, well, adults, because it will be an adult event. Anybody old enough can certainly come out there. Heavy hors d'oeuvres, heavy finger foods, and things like that. So that will
It'll
be
also be Friday art walk. So you can figure
Yes,
that into it.
it'll be a great weekend to be in Alva, and we can publish that in our agenda for the weekend.
Charles, did you have a motion you wanted to make?
I would move that we approve it, but with the reservation that we try to cut that printing thing
Oh, yes, Charles, I'm
by
a very
at least 50%.
conservative person by nature, and I will search out the best quote. I'll also tell you, I like to do business locally, so I will search out the quotes locally, and yes.
How much to make the amount, what we can do, I guess we approve the amount and
Not more than.
you adjust it down.
8350, whatever that is.
Yeah, you don't have to spend it all.
No,
No.
I'm not giving you free rate. It just seems pretty expensive.
8300.
Do call my office, and if I'm not there, you can talk to Rhonda, and she can tell you all about how we go about it.
I will, thank you.
Actually, talk to her, because her and Joe take care of it now. I don't do much with it, so.
I will do that, and thank you very much.
That's in form of motion
Do we have a second?
for the $10,635, but
No, it's $8,300.
8,300?
Yeah, we have to go by what's on the agenda.
On the agenda, okay, not what's up, okay. 8,300.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Connor? Charles? Terry?
Aye.
Norma?
All right,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
And thank my other requests for being patient and letting me listen first. Leave your discussion and action on proposed budget for the Tourism Advertising Promotions Committee through June of 2020, not to exceed $10,113.
We are trying to, I think everybody knows, but just to reiterate, we are here to kind of promote all of the things that you guys approve of here in town, and try to get advertising basically for Alva. And we set this up in hopes, we tried to think of everything that we would need until your next fiscal year. So this is everything we think we will need until the 1st of June. It would include, I think it's got your cost in there, but we need the brochure that we had printed last year. We're down to like 50 of those brochures, and we've had several requests to get more. So we need to do another printing of that with a small update on that as well. Part of the web hosting that we had with Stephen Coranda, I may not be saying that correctly, but did not include the web hosting domain name page. He farmed out each individual thing. He was like a general contractor for the whole deal. So whoever did his web hosting just recently gave him the bill for 2 years worth of our web hosting. So we owe that part. We actually had $1,000 approved to try and get a video put together to put on the website. We didn't ever use that $1,000. We kept putting out bids to get somebody to do that, and we never got any bids on it. We're now going to try and do that in-house, but that $300 is, we have sent out to social media asking the public to submit videos of different activities going on around Alva. Then we will look at them, pick the top 5, put them out on social media, let the public decide on the top 3, and then each one of those top 3 would get $100. So that's what the awards tourism video is about. Last year we went with 4-tier marketing for our social media and website, and in January we will need to renew that. We have a proposed contract, a proposal from her that we have approved. We need to make sure you guys are okay with that contract. It's basically the same contract as we had before, other than the social media is about $800 more, $900 I think actually, more than it was last year. We feel like she's been doing a really good job doing our social media, and so we chose to go with her again next year, and that contract will not be set up until January 1st or February 1st, will not go into effect, but again, we were just trying to keep everybody from having to come back and do this at another time. So that is what the contract is. We've had just some small reimbursement expenses. We've had a shirt designed for Kendra to wear during her Facebook Live things that has the Alva logo and the brand that we've put together and you guys approved a couple of years ago. And then there is also, we'd like to do some action ads. I'm trying to look here at what the other parts of it were. Yeah, we want to do some action ad things as well. So that's kind of what the $393 is for a total of $10,113 that we anticipate for expenses through now in June, the 1st of June. Attempt to answer any questions.
New contract for a whole year though?
Yes, sir.
January?
Yes, sir. Or February to February. And she started before her contract time actually began last year, so we haven't determined whether or not that will be because I think it was February to February last time, but she actually started in January, so we will probably start hers in January now, just to make everything easy from this point on.
I've sat in on some of these meetings because this is our group. This is actually an arm of this group here, and they are doing a lot of social media stuff and getting our name out there. And that's
social media is awesome.
And that's it. What they're doing is good. I mean, it's what we need to have happen.
Yeah. 100%.
And when we're going to go with a different web hosting, and I hope I'm saying that correctly, domain company, whatever, that will be much easier for Kendra to be able to work with. As soon as we get that in place, she will probably be making some changes to the website, and then she said she will start driving the social media posts to the website as well.
Another thing I can tell you that they're working on, and I understand Melissa didn't bring it up because she doesn't love to talk in front of the public too much, but they have a calendar on this website, and when they go to their new domain, it'll be a lot easier to use, but they're planning to get all the community events, and their goal is to make that where everybody goes to look for community events, and get people to turn their community events in there, because you want to get on there and be the first one on there so that other people aren't planning on top of you and stuff, which is stuff we've talked about in this committee that we need, is to get it where everybody's on the same page. And they had the calendar calendar set up, but it's just not easy to use at this point. So they're working on making that an easy-to-use deal where people can contact Jody or contact them directly and get this on the calendar. School events,
College
battles, whatever it is, that you're going to want it on that calendar, and people will go to it. That'll also drive more to their social media and be kind of a self-feeding deal. And that's what their action ads are actually for, is to advertise the calendar when they get it up and rolling, to tell people, hey, post your stuff on this calendar.
We know there's several websites around town. We want this to be the website that is the one place where everybody can go and get all the information they need, whether they're coming to Alva, whether they're living in Alva. We want this to be the know-all, be-all of Alva activities and opportunities available.
When the arena's up, that's going to be, I think, doubly important to have all those arena events on a website.
That was one of the main reasons that we kind of started this early, so that we could try and get all the bugs worked out, get everything set up, so that by the time the arena is in place, we are set up, we are rolling. There's not going to be any hindrance for promoting the arena as well.
There's no further questions. I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve no more than $10,113 to the Tourism Advertising and Promotion Committee.
Second.
Okay. We have double seconds. We're good.
Charles. Terry.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Norm.
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. We
And if there's
appreciate the
anything we
work.
can do that you guys think of that we can do to help, let us know.
We appreciate the work. We'll double your pay.
Thanks so much.
All right, and the next item is discussion action on Alva Bull Battle 5.
Good evening. We're back and ready for another one. Coming up springtime, April 3rd and 4th, first weekend in April. What we are requesting this year be $31,150, which is an increase from what we requested last year. And in that I can explain, we've made some changes to our show, which I think is for the better. We have added in more youth involvement as far as them competing. We had a big success, or a big hit, with our showcase, is what I like to call it. It was just kind of a trial run, inviting those kids to come up and ride and to see how the crowd would enjoy that type of thing. And it's basically all I've heard year-round was how much they enjoy watching the youth compete, because they're getting on little mini bulls that stand about waist high. They're pretty neat looking. So what we have done is we've turned this event from a 2-performance show into a 3-performance show. So these kids will have their very own performance that Saturday afternoon at noon, which opens the doors. I think we had around 35 kids come last year, and now, without having to cap it off, and it's not just a showcase, it's estimated anywhere from 60 to 75 kids coming to compete in this year's show, which in turn is just going to bring more people. They're a little bit more, I guess, a little bit better than just a bull rider, because it might just be him coming to town, or maybe him and his girlfriend. girlfriend, but when you've got youth traveling, rodeo's a family event, so you've got brother, sister, mom, dad, they're all coming to the show, close enough, you know, grandparents will even come. So it's gonna, I feel like it's gonna bring a lot more people to town for this event. And not only that, but our top kids, we're going to take the top 2 kids in each age group from that long round that win their rounds. They'll get to come back during the big bull ride and be a part of the actual big show, which is, it means a lot to those kids to be included in, you know, their dream of making it to the big show. So that's, we're just trying to do our best to provide that for them. So we've moved everything around. Of course, what's caused our budget to increase this year is our contract personnel, like our announcer, our bullfighters, our sound man, our funny man, all of those guys. They don't charge by the day; they charge by the performance. So moving that youth deal to its own performance, of course, increased their cost, and that is what reflects our increase of our request. So, if you guys have any questions.
Basically what you're saying is from last year, the support is going to go up 50% because you're adding another event. We had 2 events last year.
Well, two events. It was a 2-day event, so we had a bull riding on Friday night and a bull riding on Saturday night, and we showcased those kids just before the bull riding each night. So it was all kind of part of that performance. So now this year it'll be the big bull riding on Friday night, the youth performance at noon on Saturday, and then the big bull riding again on Saturday night. So it'll actually be 3 separate performances.
So it was considered 2 performances last year.
Yes.
And what was the cost of that?
I believe our ending cost was $52,035.
You requested 28 something last year.
Yeah, $28,250, I believe it was.
3,000.
It's 3,000 more.
Yeah, 2,900, 2,000.
Justin did con me into coming out and verifying IDs, I think, last year and stuff, and it was amazing where the bull riders came from. They were from Georgia, Wyoming. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Those guys came rolling in,
And
where all they came from.
which brings me to something I almost forgot was another thing that we increased was just moving some money around. We eliminated a concert on Friday night and just shuffled that money around, but we increased our added money for our bull riders. We've got such a high quality list of personnel that come and work this event. You know, our sound man is 2-time PRCA top 5 sound man of the year. Our barrel man is also a 2-time top 5 PRCA barrel man, and he just got elected a few weeks ago as the NFR Ultimate, so that's a big deal. So we've got quality personnel working this that, you know, you'd have to spend $50 to $100 just to sit in the nosebleed to watch these guys. And so we figured bumping our added money up for our bull riders, $10,000 from $7,500, is also going to bring that quality of bull rider as well. They do already come from long ways away, but we know that I've talked to several guys that are living in South Texas, and we've had phone calls from Michigan and all over about when this event's going to be. So I just feel like if we're going to have quality putting this show on, we might as well make sure that we have that quality actually performing. And what increases more rides during the bull riding too, because anymore you go to a bull riding with 30 guys and they might only ride 3 bulls. So with the enticing amount of added money, we might up our level or quality of bull rider to get a few more road, hopefully. Seemed like every time I was riding for big money, I'd fall off a lot faster, so who knows?
So you gonna have the same pickup guy?
Yes.
He's worth going to see. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He knows,
That big old horse of his, Bromby, he's got his own Facebook page. I think he's a bigger item than what James really is.
I think so. That's amazing.
Yeah. One of the coolest things that also happened last year was the head football coach from Northwestern called and asked to buy a ticket for every member of the football team. So we helped them come to the show, and it really made Saturday night worth being there. We got them involved in the arena actually as well, so it is a good time, and I think it's good for those football players. Some of them come from such big cities, you know, they've never seen anything like that before, and is definitely a learning experience. So that is just something that stands out among most of it that I thought was pretty cool. And I think he plans on bringing them back again this year.
I would say they had a good time.
Yeah, they did.
These guys were wearing their shorts and their tennis shoes and their cowboy hats.
Yeah.
What will they do on Friday night after they get done?
What will they do on Friday night?
Like you have a band on Saturday.
Yes. So that's just up to them, I guess. They can go see the town if they wish. Our concert was just better on Saturday. It just didn't seem feasible doing it twice, you know, 2 times in a row.
What was your ticket sales last year, Justin?
I don't
Your estimate higher than last year then for ticket sales?
I believe, yes, our ticket sales is, I've estimated, a little higher than last year. With last year being the first year as a 2-day event, we really didn't know what to expect on our numbers, you know, whether they were going to come both nights or just one night, or how that was all going to work. We fared, but as far as what that exact number was, I don't remember.
We can go up. I would bet it would go up.
Oh, yeah, especially if they're gonna have the one on Saturday afternoon.
I remember we approved the request for the bull battle for 31,000, not to exceed 31,000.
Second.
A request to approve for $31,350. Do we have a second?
Second.
Terry,
Aye.
Charles, Connor,
Aye.
Ron.
All right.
I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
I've got that
Yeah.
last year. I will be there again.
Yeah, you need to go in the football teams there. It's funny.
Doing this on a breeding bed.
Yeah, it's funny.
Anything hard in front of you.
They got a couple of them out there in the arena.
Yeah, good.
Okay. The last thing are remarks and inquiries by the Tourism Tax Committee. I think everybody got these. Juanita picked these up. I think these are to take with us. The Visit Alva, the Visit Enid guidelines, and the Woodward Convention Bureau guidelines be something for us to study. I don't know if Connor and her have had a chance to visit yet, not yet. And so we need to study these. If you decide you want to call a meeting or anything to talk about stuff, we can call a special meeting and visit, or you guys put something together and
We
send you our ideas on what we see, and we can kind of go from there. But that is something we need to do. I know, I thought quite a bit about what Connor said about possibly having a setup where events that are ongoing could request funds without coming in here maybe on a, we might have a twice a year that they could do that. That were ongoing events that we know about that, doesn't mean we have to approve them, but they could put those and save a lot of time and leave more of our time to look at new events and things like that, especially as the arena comes on board. There should be more of that stuff. And so I thought about it, and I told them I thought that there possibly are good guidelines for that, and I thought that was a workable idea. But I told him I thought it would need to be more than once a year, because most people just aren't planned out that far. And if you had, if your deal was like in September and your event was in September, then you would have to already have next year's events set in place and stuff. So once a year wouldn't be enough to do that. That's all I have on that. If anybody else has any remarks they want to make about it, any ideas to throw at him? Not. Anybody else have any? I hear good things about the arena, that it's moving.
Slowly but surely.
That it's moving along.
Yeah.
I hear.
It's a process.
It's a process. I hear the process is moving, and that's and that there's already a lot of funds designated per se. So that's awesome. It's going to be so neat, and we appreciate old Charles's work on that, because I know that committee has a lot of work.
More than I anticipated.
A lot more than you anticipated. I'll bet. Oh my gosh, yeah. When you're talking about that kind of money, it's going to be a lot of work putting it together. Anybody else have any remarks or anything? All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
We adjourn.
A motion and a second.
Charles.
Aye.
Norman.
Aye.